Alright, maybe I'm being a little bit dramatic, but I genuinely do feel like it's a straight up horror show over in PvP right now. Everywhere I look, it's the same variations of subclass setups, the same skills, the same sets. Basically, everyone is a virtual clone of one another, and it's getting to be terrifying, honestly. Not to mention just trying to get through any fight without some bullshit happening, like falling through the map into oblivion, or randomly dying to environmental damage that isn't even physically possible. Like, I can't tell what's worse, the actual fights or the game's performance. But before you tell me to quit bitching, here's a list of logical, practical solutions. Everyone, including the developers, are well aware of these fixes, but apparently we're never going to get them, so I won't even go over this list today, and instead I have a list. Fucking kidding me. Alright, we're gonna leave that in the video. Anyway, I have a list that is a lot more fun, so today I'll go over some really interesting and slightly unorthodox ideas that I've come up with, things that completely change PvP as you know it, and I think that these ideas could actually save the game, or at the very least, they are just some very fun ideas that I think most people could get on board with. So if you agree, disagree, or have your own ideas, leave me a comment below. First change, new seasonal Cyrodiil maps. Why can't we get a new map after 10 years? I know some of you are going to cry about the lore, but what if we had a completely different Cyrodiil map every 3 or 4 months, or maybe just during its own event? I'm talking completely change the way that the map looks, the terrain, where the alliances are based, all of that. For example, let's put AD up in the northwest in a new volcanic highland area. It could have ashy obsidian cliffs, lava rivers, and maybe the sky gets darkened once in a while with volcanic smoke. We could make a new area over here for DC, like an overgrown, dense jungle with waterfalls and narrow jungle bridges. And wouldn't it be cool to have an EP area like over here that is built into canyon walls, like a fortress city? You would have to go underground into tunnels to get to their home keeps. All of these little changes would ultimately change the dynamics of combat as it exists, as it would infinitely change the way that fights operate, how you could use the environment, where you could siege or funnel fights, and so forth. So just a really easy idea to keep the fights constantly fresh, and if I can get something like this from ChatGPT after 30 seconds, then I don't know why the developers can't do it too. Next, one campaign of randomized alliances. Hear me out before you EP for lifers say hell no. I'm talking just one unique campaign where every person's alliance is temporarily randomized. You are randomly placed on either AD, DC, or EP, as is everyone else. This would completely revitalize the status quo. Every organized group, every ball group would be shaken up, and this would totally change the monotony of fighting the same people constantly. I actually think this would encourage people to either play more small scale or to play with totally different people altogether. Establishing new groups and new friend networks is incredibly healthy for the game, and I would encourage any naysayers to just see temporary change as a good thing for once. Bounties. I would love to see some random bounty events happen a couple times a day, just like the hammer. The system could either randomly select 10 or 15 people and put hits on them, or perhaps more deliberately choose targets who have a recent high kill feed. Either way, there would be players running around who are the most wanted targets, and obviously you could get rewards for killing these players, maybe extra AP or gold, maybe some Lancer leads, or even extra points for your alliance towards the next evaluation. And to encourage targets to not just hide in a keep, you could have a multiplier system just like Telvar, where the targets themselves acquire very high compounded rewards while in combat, with the multiplier resetting once they die. So just a very high risk, high reward style of combat that could be very exciting for a short period in the day. Cross-alliance proximity chat, meaning being able to hear and talk to players on other alliances if they get within range. Clearly, I didn't come up with this because we have seen this happen occasionally on accident.
Tired of you having to pay the yellow team to be your bitch boy just to win. Still can't win. It's so sad. So sad. Why can't you try harder? Just learn to play.
Yeah, you
just
better
learn to. You're 2,000 levels higher than me, and yet I somehow beat your ass.
Kill this man. Kill this man. He didn't just throw it on. Yeah. He did, man.
I absolutely love the idea of being able to sneak up to someone and have them hear me say goodnight, motherfucker, before ganking them. Obviously, this cross chat has the potential to get really crazy and toxic, but ZeniMax, just tune up your AI banning system and let the majority of us have a really hilarious time with this one. Stat sheet at the end of a campaign. Tons of data collection required here, but I would love to receive a personalized stat sheet and be able to see an overall campaign stat sheet for every alliance at the end of each campaign. The The stat criteria is virtually limitless. Like, there's just so many things that could be put on this stat sheet, and I think it would just be really incredibly interesting to review and share with your friends at the end of every campaign. Finally, here are some additional ideas that I'll just leave with you briefly as food for thought. An event where Cyrodiil is a dynamic map that continuously shrinks over time, like the game PUBG, which forces players to fight in a progressively smaller area or get eliminated. This would be particularly fun for solo players. An escort mission where an NPC must be escorted across the map while other factions try to intercept them. A very small, isolated map that is specifically designed for signing up for small group tournaments or for ball group battles. And finally, just give us crossplay. Stop teasing us and just make it happen, because crossplay would 100% be a lifesaver for this game. So just to wrap it up, all of my propositions of course aren't entirely feasible, but I think it's super fun to brainstorm ideas anyway, because they very well could revitalize PvP in this game. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have other ideas, just tell me, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!